My name is Akshat Gupta. I'm a full-time house husband and a part-time writer. I, the word I is the loneliest word with just one single alphabet, I. It is self-obsessed, it is self-centered, yet not self-sufficient. I is never self-sufficient. In fact, this word I, the second meaning of I is I, E-Y-E, which is also not single. It is in pairs. That is how alone this I is. Today I'm standing between all of you to talk about myself, which is why I will have to say I for many times. So please pay me for that. I come from a very small town. I'm sure most of you would have never ever heard the name of my hometown called Ambikapur. I'm sure. So my journey starts from that small town where I got the start. There's a regional joke on the schools of my place, which says, please pay attention, because you guys are gonna laugh on it, which says कि छोटे छोटे गांव में खोल दे हैं स्कूल जी, छोटे छोटे गांव में खोल दे हैं स्कूल जी, 5 ठन कक्षा आवे 1 ठन गुरु जी, वही है हेडमास्टर वही है चपरासी, वही है हेडमास्टर वही है चपरासी, ऐसन स्कूल में शिक्षक लाए फांसी। जे दिन बच्चा मन आए वो दिन शिक्षक मन नहीं आए, जे दिन शिक्षक मन आए वो दिन बच्चा मन नहीं आए, जे दिन दोनों आए वो दिन छुट्टी। So that has been my start from that small town. The next and the first achievement that I had was that I flunked in class 6th. You'll be surprised, the writer hai, ji hoon. So I flunked in class 6, because of which I was sent to this school in Raipur. Raipur now happens to be the capital of Chhattisgarh. And when I was leaving my home, people around me started quoting a statement which was very, very, very irritating. Please just try to connect with me if you guys have heard this statement in your life. Beta jo hota hai achhe ke liye hota hai. Whatever happens for good. We have all heard it. Sometimes it goes to your nerves. It is so irritating, you know. When you're not going through a good time and somebody comes and gives you this. And that is when I first time heard, beta jo hota hai achhe ke liye hota hai. And I was like, माँ बाप से दूर जा रहा हूँ, अच्छा क्या है इसमें? Fail हो गया हूँ. That is how I reached Raipur. Now there came a new history teacher in the school, and I was trying to impress him. He was from Orissa. I will not quote his name. He said, it was his first class, and he said, give me the shortest difference between discovery and invention. And I raised my hands. And I gave an answer. And he said, sit down. He asked some other kid. He answered, then she answered. Then I raised my hands again. He said, okay, try again. And I stood and I gave some long difference between what is invention and what is discovery. And this irritated class teacher said, you know what? Your father discovered your mother and invented you. Sit down. That is when I learned that my father discovered my mother and invented me. By the way, I did not tell you guys that my parents at that point of time were love marriage. So yeah, they discovered each other and this is what they've invented, standing right by your side. Later I realized that it is the other way around. Actually, my mom discovered my dad and invented me. However, I managed to finish till class 10th. Things were quite good. And we learned unity, the class unity. And we went in a fight with our seniors. We were beaten like you know what. And then rusticated also. Which took me to a new city called Indore, commercial capital of MP. Now while I was leaving all my friends, I was sad. And there were few teachers who really loved me. And they said, beta jo hota hai achhe ke liye hota hai. And I the same feeling, isme acha kya hai? Again, a new home, a new city, new people. I have absolutely no idea what am I going to do. Now, by that time, 10th was done. I was in class 11th. And I did exactly what a class 11th, 12th kid does. He falls in love. So I reached this new school. I saw this girl in my class and I fell in love. This is very normal for boys to fall in love like somebody. It's not me saying it. This is how people pursue about boys, right, boys? But that's not the fact. Sometimes we are very, very adamant that yes, we love you. This is very normal that we fell in love. The abnormal part of the whole story is that she also fell in love with me. Small town people are considered to be, true to their words. If they say something, they do it. We continued this beautiful relationship in class 11th and 12th and 3 years of my graduation in different colleges. Like a long distance relationship in the same town. Finally, at the age of 21 and a half, Gupta ji got married. Now, there's a lesson for all of you guys. What is the lesson? Never, never plan a marriage at the age of 21. That is a mistake. That is the time to make careers, not marriages. Because it is a mistake either by both or at least by one out of the two. My marriage lasted for 8.5 years and it went super well. I discovered my wife this time and we invented a beautiful, cute son. While everything was going well, I started from one restaurant, made it 5 restaurants in Indore, which was not my hometown. And people started looking up to me and everything was going hunky-dory, which is when my wife left me for one of my friends, snatched my son away and left. Yeah. So by that time, I was also struggling with a lot of financial problems and my physical problems also. I was so broke at that point of time that I decided to end my life. 2014, 3rd of May, I was so depressed that I tried to commit suicide. I'm not proud of what I did. Don't try that at home. But I will have to tell it to you because unless and until I will not accept myself gracefully, you guys will not accept me. The people who break when you do something like this is everybody else who still loved you. I broke a lot of hearts by doing that trial. I had to face a lot of cases after that. My parents, along with me, were broke. All my restaurants got closed down. My mom went through a bypass heart surgery because of the tension. My dad went through a full body paralytic attack, and I was committing suicide. Among all these things, one thing that was bothering was my son. He was 6.5 years when he left me. And that was the point, that was the turning point of my life, when somehow I was saved in the hospital. Now, while I was going to the courts, and I was going to see how many I is coming, I'm so sorry for that. So while me and my family were running to the courts and police stations, I was hearing taunts like, see what a big loser this man is. What a failure this guy is. He flunked in class 6th. He was rusticated from Raipur school. He could not continue a marriage. And now he tried to commit suicide and he failed there too. That big a loser, a failure this man is. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But there were a bunch of new drawing copies kept, which I brought for my son, but I couldn't give him because he was suddenly taken. So every time when I saw those drawing copies, I couldn't stop crying. And I thought in a few months, I'll make the matters fine and I'll bring them back. And I started writing a story for my son. That story, my friends, is now the national bestseller of this country. It is a trilogy now. It is published by the biggest publisher of the world. The visual rights of this book, this trilogy book, is bought by the most successful captain, Indian cricket team captain. Now, while all of these things were, I was kind of, fighting in a lot of fronts. There's another quote which says, in women, pity begets love. In men, love begets pity. I'm not saying it. People have said so. The translation is, लड़कियों को जब दया आती है तो प्यार हो जाता है, लड़कों को जब प्यार होता है तभी दया आती है. So एक लड़की को मुझ पे दया आ गई. I decided that I'm never ever going to fall in love after what happened with me. 5.5 years of relationship, 8.5 years of marriage with the same girl, 6.5 years old son, all snatched overnight. 20 years of meaningful life gone. Now, while I was planning to come to Mumbai, I met this girl and I decided that I'm never ever going to fall in love again. But she was so good. She was very beautiful. And I, however, managed to fall in love again. But I decided I'm never going to get married to any person. But she was so good and so beautiful that I got married again. So one fine day, while I was standing in the balcony of my new house in Mumbai, all financial problems sorted in from 2014 till now, I just stood and I thought, what have I done with my life? I've made all the mistakes all over again. I fell in love again and I got married again, and I wrote these 2 lines which says कि जहाँ से चले थे फिर वहीं आकर ठहरे हैं, एक उम्र लग गई समझते कि दुनिया गोल. So I started and I reached back to the same place, making all the mistakes all over again. The only difference was the first was a mistake, the second was the rectification to the first mistake. Never get married in the age of 21. Bad move. Now, we were talking about one more thing. Beta, whatever happens, happens for good, right? Summing it up, I need to thank that teacher who failed me in class 6th. I need to thank all my seniors of Raipur hostel who beat me up badly and then got me rusticated out of the school. I need to thank my ex-wife to just let me go. And I need to thank this girl who's taken care of everything. While from 2014 till 2019, while I was struggling and nobody had any faith in my writing, she was the only earning member in my house. She was earning and she was feeding me. I was taking care of the house, which is why I say that, good evening, my name is Akshat Gupta. I am a full-time house husband and a part-time writer. Thank you so much for your time.